Okay? So I think we can start then. Partiamo? So I've got a question, another question for you that is, do you know what Lonely Planet is? And have you ever used a Lonely Planet guide? Quindi sapete che cos'è la Lonely Planet? E poi, have you ever used a Lonely Planet guide? A Lonely Planet guidebook? Quindi avete mai usato delle guide della Lonely Planet? Yes or no? Perché so we're going to read actually a short article, a short text on Lonely Planet. And here we have some useful vocabulary for it. So first of all, a guidebook is a book that gives information for visitors about a place such as a city or country or region. Okay, so we call those books guidebooks. Another useful bit of vocabulary is this, cheap. Cheap is an adjective that means costing little money or less than is usual or expected. Again, useful for the text that we're going to look at in a minute. And then the last word that is useful for this specific text is shoestring. I think it's quite intuitive. This is what we mean when we say shoestring. Okay, so these are shoelaces. This is what you use to tie your shoes. All right, so back to my original question. Have you ever used Lonely Planet guidebooks? Because we are going to find out some information about Lonely Planet and its history. People who have used face-to-face B1+ in the past might already know this story because that was my source of inspiration. Okay, so that's where I got the idea from. So this is the Lonely Planet story. And it says, so nobody has changed. No, Margarita, I haven't, but I know what Lonely Planet is. Fair enough. So let's find out some more information about it then. So nobody has changed the way we travel more than Tony and Maureen Wheeler, the founders of the publishing company Lonely Planet. The company has been publishing guidebooks for 40 years, and it sells over 5 million books a year in English. The first guidebook they ever wrote was Across Asia on the Cheap, inspired by their honeymoon trip, and it sold 8,000 copies in 3 months. All right, so this is the first guidebook they ever wrote, Across Asia on the Cheap. Okay, so Across Asia for little money. And it sold 8,000 copies in 8 months. The story is not over, though. So their second guidebook, Southeast Asia on a Shoestring, was published in 1973, and it has been a bestseller since then. And so in total, Lonely Planet has published over 650 books since the company began. Okay, so quite a successful story, the Lonely Planet story. That is the second guidebook that Tony and Maureen Wheeler published, Southeast Asia on a Shoestring, which again means that they didn't have a big budget for that trip. So Southeast Asia on a Shoestring means Southeast Asia for little money. Right. Now let's use story. Let's use this context to start talking about present perfect. So I'm going to go back to the previous slide, this one, and I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to identify the present perfect verbs here in this slide. Then we're going to do the same for the second one. All right, so when you have identified what the present perfect verbs are in this particular slide, you can write them down in the comment section, okay, so that I can see your ideas. All right, so time to identify the present perfect, simple or continuous. Don't get confused with past simple or other verbs, all right? So as a clue, quindi vi do un indizio, there are two examples of present perfect on this slide. What are they? What are the examples here of present perfect? Simple and or continuous. Let's see what you think. So like I said, there are two. 30 more seconds to identify them, and then we're going to move on to the other slide. So take a careful look at it, see what we can find. I can see a comment that is already here. All right, couple more seconds, then same game but on the other slide. Lascio ancora un paio di secondi, facciamo la stessa cosa, lo stesso gioco ma nell'altra slide. This is it. All right. What about this slide? What are the examples of present perfect, either simple or continuous here? Again, as a clue, as a hint, there are two here as well. So in each of these two slides, you should be able to find two examples of present perfect, simple or continuous. What are they? What do you think? All right, Margherita going strong, good. So in a minute, I'll tell you what these examples are, but I would like to give you a bit more time to find them yourselves. And if you have already found them, se li avete già trovati, the next question is, which ones are examples of present perfect simple? Which ones are examples of present perfect continuous? All right, so try to differentiate them. Quindi se li avete già trovati, provate a differenziarli, a metterli in due categorie, present perfect simple and present perfect continuous. All right, so Margherita is definitely right. The examples are, okay, nobody has changed the way we travel more than Tony and Maureen Wheeler, and the company has been publishing guidebooks for 40 years. These are the examples in the first slide. Then in the second one, we have their second guidebook has been a bestseller since then, so since 1973, and Lonely Planet has published over 650 books since the company began. Okay, so which ones are examples of present perfect simple? Which one or ones are examples of present perfect continuous? All right, so we have the answer. Very good. So has changed, has been, has published are examples of present perfect simple. And for present perfect continuous, has been publishing. I did help you out there with different colors. Ho dato una mano lì con I colori diversi. Okay, good though, good answers. So, what is the difference then between present perfect simple and present perfect continuous? Let's start by talking about present perfect simple, its structure and some of its uses. E quindi partiamo dal present perfect simple, la struttura e un paio di usi. Poi passiamo al present perfect continuous. Okay. So, present perfect simple. The structure goes subject, have or has, and past participle for affirmative sentences. Subject, haven't or hasn't, and past participle for negative sentences. Then, of course, in questions, we start with have or has, then we use a subject, and then past participle. Keep in mind, though, that we have kind of two ways of talking about past participle, of making past participle. Che abbiamo due modi per fare il past participle. Regular verbs, you add ed to the infinitive, like past simple. Okay, quindi per i verbi regolari si aggiunge ed all'infinito, come per il past simple. Irregolari, so regular verbs, you have to go and study the third column of those fancy tables that you can find pretty much everywhere. Ok, quindi se il verbo è irregolare dovete studiare la terza colonna di quelle bellissime tabelle che si trovano in giro, oppure magari farlo in maniera un po' più interattiva, quindi andare a vedere degli esempi, sottolinearli, riscriverli. Diciamo il metodo tabella è un po' arcaico, però può essere utile come riferimento. And these tables are basically in every English book ever written, if it has to do with the language, obviously. Now, let's talk about adverbs, because the baseline for the structure is the one we have above. Quindi, la base appunto è quella che avete sopra, frase affermativa, negativa o domanda. Parliamo di avverbi. So, adverbs and so uses, ever and never, we use them to talk about life experiences. Ok, quindi usiamo ever e never per parlare di life experiences, quindi di esperienze di vita. Infatti, prima io vi ho chiesto, have you ever used a Lonely Planet guidebook? So my question was, is that an experience that you had in your life? Ok, quindi quello che vi ho chiesto sostanzialmente è se avete mai fatto questa esperienza, quindi quella di usare la Lonely Planet, ok, le guide della Lonely Planet. We use ever in questions and never in answers. Ok, quindi ever è per le domande, never è per le risposte. Attenzione perché entrambi vogliono dire mai, ma si usano appunto in contesti diversi. E attenzione anche al fatto che never, anzi ve lo chiedo, never va usato col verbo in forma affermativa o negativa? Quindi com'è il verbo quando usiamo never? What do you know? What do you remember? Questa è sempre un po' una domanda trabocchetto, o meglio, viene vissuta come una domanda trabocchetto, perché appunto il significato è uno, ma l'uso è un po' più tricky. Quindi quando usiamo never, come deve essere il verbo? What do you guys think? Chi vuole provare a rispondermi? Good. Margherita dice in forma affermativa, esatto. Quindi se c'è never, il verbo non è con il not, il verbo è in forma affermativa. Altro dubbio che viene fuori spesso, se io dico I have never, quindi I have never used a Lonely Planet guidebook. Posso dire I haven't ever used a Lonely Planet guidebook? Quindi posso usare ever col verbo in forma negativa? Allora, tecnicamente sì, al lato pratico non si fa, non si usa. Quindi se volete dire che non avete mai fatto una cosa, usate never, con il verbo in forma affermativa. All right, so this is present perfect used for life experiences. Then, when we have adverbs like just, yet, already, recently, lately, we're talking about a recent past. Ok, quindi nel caso di quegli avverbi che vi ho scritto sotto, quindi just, yet, already, recently, lately, si cade nel campo del recent past, quindi un passato recente. Essendo passato, ovviamente è finito, ok? Però è successo da poco. So we have just and already that go with affirmative sentences in between have and the past participle. Like, I have already done my homework, or I have just done my homework. Yet, invece, come lo usiamo? In che tipo di frase, in che posizione? What do you guys remember? Quindi just e already forma affermativa, already si usa anche nelle domande. Mentre invece yet, in che tipo di frasi lo usiamo? To. That's your clue, it's to. Quindi questo è il vostro indizio, parliamo di due tipi. Take a sip of water. So we use yet in negative sentences and in questions. Like, for example, I haven't done my homework yet. Or, have you done your homework yet? All right. Altri avverbi che ci possono essere utili per esprimere un passato recente, recently and lately. So, this is your timeline. The X is you, and the arrow means that when I use present perfect simple with this meaning, so with these two possible types of meaning, then the action has finished. Ok, quindi questa freccia che finisce sulla X, la X è il punto in cui sto parlando, la freccia è l'azione a cui mi sto riferendo. Quello che volevo, diciamo, rappresentare è che con questi usi parlo di azioni già successe, quindi sono concluse. La differenza col past simple è che nel past simple io so quando un'azione è successa, quando è iniziata, quando è finita. Col present perfect, in questo caso, se ho just, yet, already, recently, lately, so che è stata fatta recentemente. Oppure nel caso di yet, che in realtà che non è ancora stata fatta. Con ever and ever so che è successa nella mia vita. So if I'm 31 years old, it has happened somewhere in the 31 years old that I have been alive. Sorry, in the 31 years that I have been alive. Ok, quindi io ho 31 anni, se uso ever and ever vuol dire che parlo di un punto imprecisato di questi 31 anni, di questo arco di tempo. So, to sum up, we use present perfect simple for life experiences. So we use it to talk about past experiences, but without specifying when they happened. Like, I have visited New York, or they have printed some photos, or have you ever gone camping? No, I have never been camping. All right? Then, present perfect simple for recent past events. Quite self-explanatory, okay? Quindi questo si spiega da solo, cioè parliamo di eventi di un passato recente. So, my friend has recently or has just had a baby, and of course she's feeling quite happy. Or, I haven't done my homework yet. Ho messo il punto di domanda fra parentesi per ricordarvi che si usa anche nelle domande. Ma anche, Alice has already done her homework. All right? Any questions so far? Domande per ora? Let's see, I'm going to give you a minute to come up with any questions. Lascio un minuto se vi vengono in mente delle domande. Otherwise, we are going to move on and talk about present perfect continuous, and then we're going to talk about the differences between present perfect simple and present perfect continuous. And their different uses, so when to use one, when to use the other. Okay, so let's move on then. Present perfect continuous. The structure is, for affirmative sentences, subject, have or has, been, it's always been, and then ing. If it's negative, subject, haven't or hasn't, been, and ing. If it's a question, of course, have or has, subject, been, and ing. And typically, what we use with present perfect continuous are for and since. This is called the duration form. So, this is my timeline. As you can see, the arrow is not right at the end of the timeline. E quindi vi ho fatto una linea del tempo in cui la freccia scavalla un po', non arriva proprio al limite della mia timeline. Questo perché? Perché parliamo appunto di duration form. So we're talking about something that started in the past and is still ongoing. It hasn't finished yet. Okay, quindi qui parliamo di un'azione che è iniziata nel passato e sta andando avanti, non è ancora finita. In fact, there in brackets you see duration form and action verbs. Ok, lì nella parentesi vi ho scritto duration form con action verbs. Se vi ricordate, quando abbiamo parlato di present simple e present continuous, era venuta già fuori questa differenza con action verbs e poi vedremo adesso state verbs. Quindi action verbs, self-explanatory, anche qua diciamo che il termine si spiega abbastanza da solo, nel senso sono verbi che indicano un'azione. State verbs sono verbi di percezione, sono verbi legati ai sentimenti, sono verbi legati a quello che ci piace, che non ci piace, a quello che vogliamo, quindi like, love, prefer, want, hate, etc., etc. So how does this difference apply to present perfect? Let's see. Quindi vediamo come si applica questa differenza fra action e state verbs al present perfect. So we have, in the present perfect simple column, I have known my best friend for about 25 years. I have had my car for about 7 years. I haven't been on a holiday since last summer. Quindi anche queste, nella colonna di present perfect simple, dove come vedete ho usato for e since, sono tutte azioni che sono iniziate nel passato, ma non sono ancora finite. Ok, so they all started in the past, but they're not over yet. So I have known my best friend for about 25 years. Come la rendiamo in italiano? Conosco la mia migliore amica da circa 25 anni. Vuol dire, so again, it means that we are still friends. We're still best friends. And we began this friendship 25 years ago. I have had my car for about 7 years. That means that I bought it 7 years ago. And I still have it. I haven't sold it yet. I haven't been on a holiday since last summer. This is maybe a bit more, I don't know, difficult because it's negative, but it means the last time I was on a holiday was last summer. All right? And as you can see, present perfect simple, different verbs, but still for and since. Ok, quindi col present perfect simple abbiamo dei verbi diversi, adesso facciamo anche il confronto con le altre frasi, però ci sono sempre for e since. Then, present perfect continuous. It's been raining since lunchtime. We have been waiting for 2 hours. We have been doing these grammar cafes since September. Right, so here we have raining, waiting, doing. So rain, wait, do, action verbs. And so we use present perfect continuous. But on the left, know, have, be, state verbs. So present perfect simple. So we use present perfect simple or present perfect continuous to talk about an action that started in the past and is still ongoing. Again, I have known my best friend for about 25 years means we are still friends. Again, on a timeline, we started this friendship, we began this friendship in 1996 and we're still friends. And so we use state verbs with present perfect simple and we use action verbs with present perfect continuous. All right? Any questions about this before we move on, talk about for and since? Quindi domande prima di proseguire su for and since? Okay, so as a kind of another summary, so we could say that the meaning is the same, the verbs are different. Okay, quindi per trovare un altro modo per riassumere quello che ci siamo detti, possiamo dire che il significato è lo stesso, quindi un'azione che è iniziata e non è ancora finita, i verbi, quindi quel tipo di verbo, è diverso. All right. So let's talk about then for and since. So I have known my best friend for about 25 years. Then, how long have you had your car? I have had my car for about 7 years. And again, I haven't been on a holiday since last summer. Now in the other column, How long has it been raining? How long has it been raining? It's been raining since lunchtime. Then, we've been waiting for 2 hours. We have been doing this grammar café since September. So, when do we use for? When do we use since? What is the difference there? Is there a difference in meaning? Quindi, qual è la differenza fra for e since? Quando è che usiamo uno e quando è che usiamo l'altro? What do you guys think? Come si usa for col present perfect, quindi simple or continuous, e come si usa since? Quindi qual è la differenza fra queste due parole? È una differenza più di struttura o di significato? Pensiamo all'inglese. Quindi 25 years, 7 years, 2 hours. Cosa sono? Cosa hanno in comune questi riferimenti temporali? Qui noi parliamo di periodo di tempo, ok? So 25 years, 7 years, 2 hours. Quindi for si usa quei periodi di tempo che possono essere più o meno lunghi. Quindi for 2 hours sicuramente è meno che 25 years. Può essere for 2 minutes, può essere for 100 years. Però for parla di un periodo di tempo. Then, since it's been raining since lunchtime, we've been doing these grammar cafés since September, since last summer. Qua cosa abbiamo? Abbiamo un punto nel tempo da cui è iniziata una cosa, quindi il punto di partenza da cui si è sviluppato qualcosa. Quindi in inglese la differenza è questa. So, for period of time, since, let's say, a point in time when something started. Parliamo un secondo di come passare, in questo caso, da italiano a inglese, che non è mai semplice. I have known my best friend for about 25 years. Quindi for about 25 years abbiamo detto che è il periodo di tempo in cui si è sviluppato questo rapporto e mantenuto ovviamente questo rapporto. La frase I have known my best friend for about 25 years in italiano diventerebbe conosco la mia migliore amica da 25 anni. Quando dico it's been raining since lunchtime, piove dall'ora di pranzo. We've been waiting for 2 hours. Aspettiamo da 2 ore. Ho la mia macchina sì da 7 anni. Ok? Quindi in italiano bisogna fare attenzione, c'è un errore che si fa spesso a pensare che conosco la mia migliore amica da 25 anni si possa tradurre tutto letteralmente, quindi col present simple e con from. Nope, you can't. Quindi attenzione, non si può. E l'altra cosa da notare è che in inglese for e senza hanno un uso diverso, bisogna stare attenti nel passaggio italiano-inglese perché per noi corrispondono a da un punto. All right? So, back to English though. How do we ask a question when we want to know about the duration of something? Examples number 2 in the first column and number 1 in the second column. How long have you had your car? How long has it been raining? So, we use how long to ask about the duration of an action or of an event. So the question is, how long have you known your best friend? I have known my best friend for about 25 years. How long have we been doing these grammar cafés? Since September. All right? Quindi da quanto tempo diventa how long. Any questions here? Domande su questo? Is it all clear? Se non avete domande, vi lascio un paio di minuti per provare a fare voi degli esempi usando queste forme, quindi present perfect, questi tempi, quindi present perfect simple, present perfect continuous. So a couple of minutes. Try to make them your own. Ok, provate a farle vostre. Quindi provate a pensare a cose della vostra vita che volete condividere ovviamente e che fate da tempo. Potete provare anche se volete a rispondere alla domanda How long have you had your car? E pensare alla vostra situazione. Quindi 1 minuto, provate a fare degli esempi che siano vostri. So, present perfect simple, present perfect continuous. Like for example, how long have you been studying English? Or more specific, how long have you been studying English with Do.it? What's your experience like? E provate a rispondere a questa domanda se non vi vengono dei vostri esempi. Going to give you a few more seconds to try and come up with your own examples, and then we're going to move on. So how long have you been studying English? All right, so Margherita says, I've been studying English in Do.it since last summer. Good, all right. Okay. I have had my car for 8 years. Nice. Very good, Margherita, well done. All right, so I think that then we're ready to move on. So as usual, let's take a look at these sentences. We have Alice and Jim have met at Jemima's 27th birthday party. They have known each other for a couple of years. They have been going out for a few months. Okay, they have been going out for a few months means they have been dating for a few months. Quindi escono insieme da un paio di mesi. Now, are these sentences correct? Are these sentences partially correct? So what do you think? Quindi vi lascio 1 minuto per provare a leggere queste frasi e a capire se ci sono degli eventualmente come correggerli. So Alice and Jim have met at Jemima's 27th birthday party. They have known each other for a couple of years. They have been going out for a few months. Are these sentences correct or incorrect? And if they are incorrect, how can you correct them? What do you think? "20 seconds and then I'll reveal the truth." Ok, vi lascio ancora qualche secondo per pensarci e poi dopo vi do la soluzione. Proviamo a capire insieme. All right, so let's start from the first one. Alice and Jim have met at Jemima's 27th birthday party. Ok, in questo caso sappiamo esattamente quando è successo, quando è accaduto questo incontro? Yes, at Jemima's 27th birthday party. Quindi possiamo usare il present perfect, simple in questo caso, oppure continuous? Nope, non possiamo, perché appunto è successo in un momento del passato che è specifico, quindi a questa festa di compleanno. Quindi Alice and Jim met at Jemima's 27th birthday party. Quindi la prima, so the first one is incorrect. Then the second one, they have known each other for a couple of years. In this case, is it correct or incorrect? It is correct. So they met and they have known each other for a couple of years. Si conoscono da un paio d'anni. Quindi Jemima avrà circa 29 anni. And they have been going out for a few months. Correct. Right? So in the end, this is it. Alice and Jim met at Jemima's 27th birthday. They have known each other for a couple of years and they have been going out for a few months. So Margarita, yes, in the first sentence, you should use past simple. Exactly. All right, so now there is an exercise to do. But first, I would like to give you a minute to try again and come up with your own examples. Ok, c'è un esercizio da fare insieme. Ma prima di andare avanti vi lascio un minuto per provare ancora una volta a fare i vostri esempi con present perfect simple e present perfect continuous. For example, I can tell you, I have been working in Do.it for about 4 years. I started in either December 2016 or January 2017. It was definitely winter. So I've been working here for about 4 years. What about you? How long have you been working where you work now? Let's see. Couple more seconds, and then we're going to move on. Don't be shy. Try to use present perfect, simple, or continuous. Or get ready for an exercise where you have to use, of course, these two different forms, these two different tenses. I have been an aunt for about 8 years. Oh, how nice. Fantastic. Thank you, Margarita, for sharing that. That must be a very good experience for you. Good. All right. So let's take a look at this text that is about filmmaker George Richards. So we have a text with some gaps, not 11, actually 9. Sorry, I forgot to change that number. But we have this text on filmmaker George Richards with some gaps to fill in. I'm going to read it to you, and while I read it, try to fill in the blanks with the right tense, either present perfect simple or continuous. And then we're going to check together. So, filmmaker George Richards, interested in cinema since he was a small child. He, the verb is make, films since he was just 12 years old. He's now almost 40, and he, 30 films. George loves traveling, and luckily his work, the verb is take, him all over the world. He traveled to Africa, India, Australia, China, the USA, and South America. But he, Russia, yet, the verb is not visit. And he would really like to. George is married to the singer Patty Burke. They, the verb is be, married for more than 30 years. And they live with their 2 children on the Greek island of Kos. They have, so the verb is have, a house on the island since 1987, and they, gap, the verb is live there since 1989. So I'm going to give you a minute to fill in all these different blanks, and then I'm going to give you the answer keys to this. So I'm going to read kind of the completed text. Right, so a minute to fill in these blanks, and then I'm going to tell you what the answer to these questions are. The answers, sorry, to these questions are. All right. So keep in mind the difference between state and action verbs. That's the key to this exercise. That's what I wanted you guys to practice with this exercise. All right, couple more seconds, and then we're going to check out the answers. All right, I'm about to reveal the answers to this. So we have filmmaker George Richards has been interested in cinema since he was a small child. He has been making films since he was just 12 years old. He is now almost 40 and he's made 30 films. George loves traveling, and luckily his work has been taking him all over the world. He has traveled to Africa, India, Australia, China, the USA, and South America. But he hasn't visited Russia yet, and he would really like to. George is married to the singer Kathy Burke. They have been married for more than 30 years, and they live with their 2 children on the Greek island of Kos. They have had a house on the island since 1987, and they have been living there since 1989. All right. This is it then. These are the answers. This is how you fill in those blanks. So, do you have any questions? Is there anything that isn't clear or that you maybe have a doubt on and would like to clarify? Because if not, I'm going to let you go. Enjoy your Saturday. And I will see you in about a month where we will be doing another grammar cafe on future forms. So Margherita, why do you use the present perfect continuous after his work? Let's see, let me find it. Making films. All right, so we know that George loves traveling. And in this case, we want to say that he's still traveling, right, all over the world. The traveling has not finished yet. So in this case, and take, is an action verb. So combining the fact that he has not retired yet, let's say, diciamo che non è ancora andato in pensione, sta ancora lavorando, quindi viaggia ancora. So combining the fact that he hasn't retired yet with the fact that he is still traveling, then we can say his work has been taking him all over the world. Ok, quindi questa è un'azione che non sta continuando, nel senso che non è che lui sia sempre su un aereo a fare il giro in tondo, insomma, però è un'azione che lui continua a fare nella sua vita. Okay, so we can say his work has been taking him all over the world. It still is. All right? Okay. All right. So if you guys don't have any questions, then I'm going to let you go enjoy this beautiful sun that we have here outside. Like I said